We just landed on the moon in the Lambo, taking pictures with the zoom and the angle. We'll be coming back to you with the samples. Our predictions coming soon with a halo. We just landed on the moon.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the Token Metrics Sunday conference call where we're talking charts. My name is Bill Noble, and we are going to go through something a little bit different. Ian's traveling this week, so I am going to take you through what I call the research cutting board, right? We're going to take a look and see all the different charts that I'm looking at, and then I'll help give you a tour about how I piece it all together and come up with a conclusion or some navigation that helps traders like you during the week. So I'm going to start with something unusual, and I know that crypto people are not experts at this, but I want to bring this to your attention. So what we've got here is a chart of QQQ. QQQ is what's called an ETF or exchange traded fund, and it trades on, the major stock exchanges. And what it does is it follows a group of all the biggest tech stocks. So if you can't follow Libra, you can follow something like QQQ, which also follows Facebook and all the other big tech companies, okay? Now, you're like, well, why do we care about that? Well, because the new buyers for crypto, right, the ones that we're all waiting for, they're going to come from big traditional portfolio managers. So if their equity portfolios are doing well, then they might be less interested in crypto. Or if they're going sideways or their equity holdings are going down, they might be more interested in crypto. All right? So let's start with what happened this week in QQQ. So we've got the green arrow here, and we can see that there was this huge flush down. Okay, everyone's afraid of everything from impeachment to the trade war to Saudi Arabia and Iran. It's just, pick your problem. All right, and then there was this prior high here, so they came down below it and made it look bearish. And then it's not on the chart, but guess what happened? The Fed came in and pumped a whole bunch of money into the system. Okay, the jargon in the market is the Fed's balance sheet expanded. Okay, so that means the Fed took in bonds on its balance sheet and pushed printed money into the system. And of course, what happens when you push printed money into the system? You get this huge wick on the weekly chart of QQQ. So bottom line is, when the Fed pushed money in the system, people bought stocks, okay? And what else did they buy? Well, it looks like they also bought some gold, okay? So now here we are on the gold weekly chart. So what you can see is on the gold weekly chart, all right, there was a big breakout right above this point. This is where it sort of cracked back in 2013. Again, remember, this is a weekly chart, right? So this gives you a very big perspective. Gold takes it out. It comes back down. Everybody sold gold, but then what happened? It came screaming back, all right, just like stocks. So again, why do you care? Well, when the Fed put money in the system, people bought gold and stocks and silver, okay? So silver did something very similar, okay? Silver did this wild flush back below these old points, these prior highs from October of 2017 and Jan and April of 2018. Silver comes down and makes this big weekly, for any of you fans who are into candlesticks, this big doji pattern, which is like a giant stalemate, right? It's the same thing in QQQ and gold. There was this big flush lower, and then the bulls came back and made it a stalemate. Okay, so if everybody bought stocks and precious metals, guess what? They probably didn't buy crypto, okay? And if you're wondering, watching this show on Sunday, why crypto trades so lousy, that's probably why, right? It's like a delay. Everyone, including me, is going, oh my God, they got to buy crypto. They have to, right? Makes sense. Well, they don't have to. They don't have to. And that's why it's down 3% today as we're talking, okay? So let's jump right in and let's just try to see what's going on here. All right. So when we look at Bitcoin, we like to use these, it's called the Fibonacci speed resistance lines. Okay, right here on TradingView, right there, Fib speed resistance fan. We use these to calculate our support and resistance points sometimes. And one thing we're noticing in Bitcoin right here is Bitcoin came up to this important line, right? This line was important back here when Bitcoin broke through it and exploded, went to the next line, and now we're sort of back here again. And I'm telling you folks, it's not making me feel good that they can't get back above this line. They can't get Bitcoin back above there on a weekly closing basis. As a matter of fact, right now, this looks like sort of a rejection. Now, does that mean you should get bearish or short or depressed? I don't know. You know, traders may want to do the short trade. I don't like FOMOing into shorts necessarily because I'm sort of a buy and hold guy. But as a buy and hold guy, this doesn't really trade great, right? Now, if you're a brave dip buyer, feel free to step in, right? Again, you know, you want to buy low, all right? One of the things you have to do when you buy low is live with the fear that everything's going to fall apart, which we all know in crypto is an ever looming thing. So what am I trying to say? Well, Bitcoin has some positive technical things it can do. It just hasn't done them. So people are selling. All right, so let's look at Ethereum. Okay, so we're kind of adamant about Ethereum. You know, we really like it. Kind of want to blow this up. Okay. Okay, so when we look at Ethereum, okay, what we see is there was both a horizontal support point from April and this diagonal point drawn off the high at 840. All right, and Ethereum is just sitting here. It's just kind of between 160 and 170. It's not doing anything good. It's not doing anything bad. I do think Ethereum is going to need to lead the next move, right? So, you know, Sunday, Ethereum down 3%. That's not looking good for the crypto rally. However, 160 to 170 is still support. So I'm keeping the faith for the moment, right? Now, if Ethereum starts cracking 160, then we have to reevaluate, right? I'm not here to be dogmatic or pound the table or get married to a view. It's very important to stay flexible, but you know, we do have conviction that 160, 170 is going to hold up, and we've also got conviction that if it doesn't, then this could fall apart. Okay, so we don't mind having an Ethereum position, but we want to be disciplined on stops. Okay. Now, I want to just point this out because, you know, this is just a giant trend line that's worth checking out. Okay, this is Ethereum Weekly. Okay, and it's just a straight trend line drawn off the high and off the June low. And as you can see, we're just sort of sitting right on top of it, like literally right on top. Okay, or just below. Depends how you draw it. Okay, like 170. So again, when you're at an inflection point, I know everyone in crypto land is like, oh, buy it, or oh, sell it, or what's your view, or don't hedge yourself. But the fact is, folks, sometimes when you get to an inflection point, you have to just hang out and see what happens, right? You know, we like Ethereum for a lot of reasons, but it has to do something positive at this inflection point in order for us to get, you know, really excited or really, you know, involved with positions. Okay. Litecoin. Okay. Litecoin Weekly. Litecoin Weekly. Same type of Fibonacci speed line structure on the weekly chart. And again, you know, Litecoin sort of stops right on the line, okay, near the point where it cracked back at the end of 2008 near, you know, 54 or 52. It's not doing anything great. It's not doing anything terrible. We do think there is some upside promise that Litecoin can follow Ethereum. But again, we have to see some good price action. We haven't seen it yet. All right. I want to take a look at EOS on a weekly chart. EOS is actually at some decent support here. okay? It's between 285 and 232, this zone. Okay, this is where the takeoff was from in February. So when it comes to this whole big coin theme that we have, we like that this chart is at least, EOS is holding up, all right? Now, moving over to the danger zone, okay? Let's talk about Bitcoin Cash. No one wants to talk about it, but we got to talk about it, okay? I know somebody out there, and he's really smart, like really smart. Like, he's like, sometimes he's like 6 months ahead of where everyone else is. And, you know, I've talked about this on prior shows that Bitcoin Cash could be in trouble. Bitcoin Cash, you know, is not doing anything technically positive, right? So if you look here, Bitcoin Cash got rejected at that fib speed line, and then it sort of starts, it cracks, and then it just sits there below that blue line. So, you know, if this market gets wrecked, it may be a Bitcoin Cash led decline. Okay. Now, we're also going to take a look at total market cap excluding Bitcoin. All right. So this is like the whole Ethereum universe, you know, all your big coins, right? Your alts and etc. Now, we're looking at this point where it took off from here, and we're noticing that that's holding as support for the moment. So again, on this theme of just, you know, watching us draw stuff, this is where the big rally took off from, came back in April, and then took off. And now we're back here, right? And it's a stalemate, right? It's not above this diagonal line, so can't really get excited about, you know, the universe below Bitcoin, but it hasn't broken support, so we can't go, you know, oh my God, the sky's falling. So I want to just keep everybody apprised of charts like this, because I think they can be really important, because you can't just look at Bitcoin. All right, you can't. And you have to look at crypto in context of stocks. Now, what do we want to see next week? I think if you're in the crypto universe, you want to see people start going, hey, you know, maybe stocks aren't great, or maybe they are, but the Fed is going to have to print money, right? If they're going to impeach the president, if Elizabeth Warren and the left are going to eventually take power, these are things that are massively positive crypto long term. Right? And I want to see these things start being reflected in prices today, right? I don't want another 2018 where, you know, crypto crumbles in the fourth quarter just because, say, everybody gives up and tax sells altcoins, right? Can that happen? Sure. People have lost a lot of money in altcoins. Can people give up on crypto? Yes. Everybody who's been in crypto knows this. Everybody who's ever bought an altcoin and gotten hosed knows this. What we want to look for is any sign that things are changing headed into the fourth quarter. Like people are really wanting crypto, right? Because again, when you start impeaching, you know, presidential leaders, when you have people on the left rising in polls who are talking about student loan forgiveness and printing money, which is what you have, right? And you have the Fed pumping money into the system as fast as it can, these are crypto positive themes. The question is, will we see it now or later? Okay. My original theory was now, but honestly, looking at the way this is trading, I would love to see this thing bounce and get going. I look at 7,900 on my screen and I go, yuck. And sometimes that's the best point to buy. But our bottom line for this week is that crypto's at a stalemate. For now, people are in love with stocks and gold, and we're going to see if that changes into next week. All right. I'm advocating patience. You know, ideas, okay, become actions, and actions become events. So you want to have a good set of ideas so that when it's time to act, you can do so with a clear head. And then the event is, if you've got your thoughts and your actions right, the event is you get a really profitable buying opportunity in crypto, or you save yourself from a major draw. All right, folks, that's it for this week. My name is Bill Noble, and I'm with Token Metrics, and we thank you for joining us today. Have a good week.
Steve and Dave use eToro to invest in the financial markets. Steve does research on global investment opportunities. Dave does research on how to become a level 60 wizard. Steve follows the feed for the latest market news. Dave follows the feed for the latest cat videos. Steve has a watch list for promising investments. Dave has a watch list too. So why is Dave just as good an investor as Steve? It's because Dave used eToro's copy trader to automatically replicate Steve's trading activity. Whenever Steve makes a trade, Dave does too.
Yes.
Trade like a Steve with eToro, the world's leading social trading platform.
Fair exchange with you. Yo, know me as the guy with the